What the CEO never expected: discover the amazing talent of a hidden girl that changed everything. In the sleepy town of Oakwood, where the summer sun rarely managed to break through the heavy clouds of hardship, 16-year-old Clara Johnson felt like a ghost drifting through life. As she helped her parents in their diner, a small establishment struggling to stay afloat, she often stood in the shadow of their relentless work ethic. Day after day, she served coffee and pancakes while cradling a secret that burned inside her, a voice that could light up the darkest rooms. But dreams, as her father reminded her, were luxuries that their family couldn't afford. On a blistering afternoon, with the air thick and sticky, the diner buzzed with the usual crowd, the clatter of dishes mingling with the laughter of familiar faces. It was then that Sarah Mitchell, a poised and polished CEO, walked in, seeking refuge from the heat. She hadn't anticipated the charms of a small-town diner, but as she settled down, Clara's voice drifted towards her, soulful and pure, weaving through the chaos like a soft breeze. The moment Sarah heard that voice, a wave of nostalgia washed over her. It reminded her of late nights spent under dim streetlights, dreaming of leaving her own small town behind. The raw emotion encapsulated within Clara's notes reached out and pulled at something deep inside her heart. Without hesitation, Sarah slid out of her booth, her mind racing with possibilities. "Wow, you have an incredible gift," she told Clara after her set. But when Clara froze, her eyes locking onto the floor, doubt flooded Sarah's words. It took only moments for the townsfolk to learn of the CEO's interest. As whispers spread, eyebrows raised in skepticism. Many saw Sarah's intervention as a threat, a painful reminder of the divide between those who had made it out and those burdened by the chains of hard work. Clara's parents were torn. The thought of their daughter venturing into a world of music seemed like a betrayal to their fight for survival. They feared losing their only source of stability. "Clara, you need to focus on what's real," her father would insist, his brow knitted in worry. "Music won't pay the bills." As tensions boiled, a charity event was organized. A night meant to uplift their community instead became a battleground of beliefs and resentment. Clara found herself standing in the dimly lit wings of the stage, wearing an old dress that had seen better days, her heart racing like a drumbeat in her chest. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Clara stepped into the spotlight, the air crackled with anticipation. With every note she sang, the diner's atmosphere shifted. Her voice, filled with longing and hope, wrapped around every listener, forcing them to confront their own fears and dreams. The once skeptical crowd felt their own doubts begin to melt away as they were swept into her world, but as her last note hung in the air, Clara stood vulnerable, exposed. Would the townspeople accept her gift, or would they cling to their fears and prejudice? Silence enveloped the booth as Clara waited, breath held tight, feeling the weight of hope and uncertainty pulse like a live wire. The silence stretched on, heavy as a storm cloud, each second a painful reminder of Clara's uncertainty. Hearts in the room beat to an anxious rhythm, and Clara fought to hold her breath steady. It felt as if the very air had thickened, wrapping around her, slowing time itself. She could see faces in the crowd, her parents, furrowed brows clouding their expressions, Sarah, her eyes wide with an unspoken plea, and many familiar faces, now hesitant and uncertain. Then, breaking the stillness, Clara's younger brother, Eli, shot to his feet. "That was amazing!" he shouted, his voice piercing through the tension. The words hung momentarily, and like a dam bursting, it unleashed a wave of applause that rippled through the audience. People around began to clap, some hooting in joy, others smiling in encouragement. Clara's chest swelled with relief as her eyes searched for her family while she mumbled a small thank you into the mic. The overwhelming feedback felt like a soft blanket, enveloping her in warmth just as the cooling evening air welcomed the darkness. But amidst the applause, her father remained seated, arms crossed tightly, his frown deepening. Clara's heart sank. The acceptance she craved was shadowed by her parents' fear. They just don't get it, she thought, a single tear falling unbidden down her cheek. The event wrapped up quickly. The diner, packed with people just moments ago, began to empty, laughter and chatter fading into the night. Clara's heart felt heavy as she helped her parents pack up. Each plate she grabbed a reminder of their struggles. Her mind, however, danced with the sound of her voice lingering in the air. She wanted to believe that something had shifted not just for her, but for all those who had come to listen. Clara, Sarah approached her with a warm smile. I meant what I said earlier. You have a gift. You shouldn't hide it away. Clara looked up, uncertainty battling with hope. But my parents, I know it's hard. But sometimes, we have to chase our own light, even if that means stepping into the unknown, Sarah whispered. Those words resonated deep within her, evoking a flicker of determination. But as Clara glanced over at her father, who was deep in conversation with some patrons, a worry twisted in her stomach. The next morning, Clara's feet dragged through the familiar diner. The shock of the previous night still clung to her like morning fog. Mom, Dad, can we talk? She ventured during a brief lull. Her parents exchanged glances. It was a moment she had dreaded. Clara, your dad and I have been discussing everything, her mom said hesitantly. You know we're proud of you, but we can't risk everything on a dream, her dad finished, his voice low. The weight of their words pushed against her, filling her with an ache. Clara opened her mouth to respond but choked on the words. The tension in the air was palpable. Thoughts of leaving Oakwood, of pursuing her passion, clashed violently with her love for her family. In that moment of silence, a thought struck her. What if she could merge her two worlds? Clara's heart raced at the idea she could hold on to her family while following her dreams. Why can't I share my music here? She blurted suddenly, her eyes lighting up. We could host open mic nights, encourage more people to come and share. It could bring the diner life. Her parents paused, minds racing with her spiraling vision. The possibilities hung in the air, waiting, promising, but would they see it? Or would fear continue to cloud their judgment? As Clara stood there, the weight of her aspirations pressed against her unabated. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything she had ever known. With the clock ticking, she wasn't about to let the opportunity slip away. But what would it take for her parents to believe in her dream? Clara's heart thundered in her chest as she waited for her parents to respond. She felt exposed, like a tightrope walker teetering above a canyon. Her idea was bold, frightening, even. Could a small diner really host such a thing? Behind her anxiousness lay a flicker of hope, the thought of a brand new beginning ignited by her passion. I don't know, Clara, her mom started, her brow furrowed with concern. But think about it. A place for local talent. We could have live music, poetry, stories. It's not just my dream, it's a way to connect everyone in Oakwood. Clara pressed on, her voice shaking but determined. People come here for the food. They don't come to see performances, her dad said, his voice firm. Why not give them a reason to stay? Clara countered, sensing that she was gaining momentum. You could put us on the map. Restaurants do it all the time. The room fell quiet again, her parents looking at one another as if having a dialogue without sharing a word. Clara clung to the edges of the counter, her knuckles turning white. Doubt gnawed at her, threatening to crush her spirit. What if they never believed in her? Can you just think about it? She said softly, her voice hanging in the air. Please. The silence felt like it would swallow her up whole. Finally, her mom sighed, an almost resigned sound. Okay, we'll think about it. And just like that, the chance hung there, delicate yet loaded with potential. Later, Clara wandered home, each step resonating with a nervous excitement. Her mind kept racing with ideas how to advertise, what kinds of performers to invite, and even how to set the stage. She could practically hear the laughter and cheers, the clinking of glasses mingled with music. It felt electrifying. That evening, her phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. You should start planning. Let me know how I can help. Clara's heart lifted. She quickly typed back, "I think we might just do an open mic night." Her fingers flew across the screen as she imagined transforming her dream into a reality. As days passed, Clara spent every spare moment crafting flyers, researching local acts, and getting the attention of potential musicians. The diner itself began to transform in her head from a simple gathering space into a stage buzzing with creativity and connection. However, with each step forward came an undercurrent of anxiety. What if her parents remained hesitant? What if they pulled the plug before she had the chance to succeed? Clara had to prove to them and to herself that this could work. Eventually, the fated night arrived, the first open mic night at Clara's diner. The place had an air of anticipation, decorated with twinkling lights and colorful banners. Clara could hardly contain her excitement as she set up the sound equipment, envisioning the crowd that would soon flock to her little slice of home. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, and people began to file in, she caught sight of her father standing at the back of the diner, arms crossed once more. His face was a mask of conflicting emotions, leaving Clara's stomach twisting in knots. Would this night solidify her dreams or shatter them? Clara took a deep breath, the microphone suddenly feeling like a lifeline. With her heart pounding, she stepped up to the mic, glancing at the familiar faces in the crowd. Would they embrace her passion, or would the shadows of doubt loom heavily over her? As she opened her mouth to sing, she wondered, was this the moment she had been waiting for? Would her voice resonate beyond the walls of the diner? Clara's voice wavered at first, a soft tremor of hesitation that slipped through the mic. But as she steadied herself, a rush of warmth surged through her, carrying her notes across the room. It was remarkable. Her song transformed the air, wrapping around every listener like an embrace. Familiar faces shone with encouragement, and Clara lost herself in the melody. The crowd soon joined her, clapping along as her confidence blossomed. Laughter and applause intertwining like strands of music filled the diner, and Clara realized that her dream was not just her own anymore. It belonged to everyone who believed in a shared idea, a community forged through creativity. When Clara finished, a deafening cheer erupted, horns honked from the outside, and a couple of her friends started whistling. Sarah beamed, electric with joy at Clara's performance, while a couple of familiar faces from her past, people she hadn't spoke to in years, smiled and raised glasses in appreciation. Despite the thrill of the crowd, she found herself scanning the room for her father. He still stood in the back, arms crossed, his expression a puzzle of skepticism mixed with something more: pride? Fear? Clara could hardly decipher it. She took a moment, allowing her gaze to linger on him, willing him to speak, to show any sign that he was coming around. The next few acts followed her. Each performer brought their own twist, some poetry, comedy, even a talented little girl who mesmerized everyone with her ukulele skills. The atmosphere thickened with excitement, and it felt as if that diner was alive, each person inside contributing to a symphony of connection. But just as Clara began to believe in the momentum that was building, she glanced at her father again. He seemed even more locked in his thoughts, his face conflicted. Doubt crept in again. What if he never supported this dream? What if all the courage she had built up crumbled in that moment? At last, it was Clara's turn again. She stood up, stringing her guitar around her neck once more, and felt a sense of purpose wash over her. There was one song she wanted to share, one that combined her aspirations with the worries of her heart. As she began to sing, memories of struggles and fleeting moments of joy flooded her mind. When she reached the final notes, she poured every ounce of emotion into the closing line. It resonated in the air like the final embers of a fire, leaving everyone captivated. As the last note lingered, Clara looked to her father. His arms were still crossed, but he was deep in thought. This time, she didn't look away. She noticed the way his brow had unfurled, just a little, and how his eyes shone with something indefinable. Then, amidst the applause and cheers, a voice broke through the air, carrying an unexpected weight. "Clara," her father called out, clearing his throat. Her heart raced at the sound, a cocktail of excitement and trepidation washing over her. "Yes, Dad?" He took a breath, visibly gathering his thoughts, and the room went quiet. The air seemed thick with anticipation. I just wanted to say." Clara held her breath, the world around her fading, every second stretched as she waited for a response that could change everything. Would he finally accept her vision or reject it completely? "Clara," her father started again, his voice firmer this time. I didn't know you had this in you. The words hung in the air. Clara's heart fluttered, caught between hope and fear. He had noticed her talent. Maybe there was a way to bridge this gap between them, to open up the conversation that seemed so daunting until this moment. Thank you, Dad, she replied, her voice softened by vulnerability. It means a lot. His gaze drifted to the crowd, watching their laughter and joy, then back to her. You've grown so much. I remember when you used to sing into your hairbrush in your room, dreaming of being on a stage. I always thought it was just a phase. Clara held back a smile, remembering those innocent childhood dreams. It wasn't just a phase. It's always been a part of me. A flicker of something bright crossed over his features. Was it regret? I guess I never really understood. I always wanted you to be practical. Safe. Dad, music is how I feel safe. She took a step closer to him, feeling the weight of years of silence between them. It's how I express everything that's hard to say. His expression wavered for a moment, and the air shimmered with possibilities. Clara felt bold. She took another step. Couldn't you see that I'm trying to create something real? Something that matters? He inhaled deeply, his shoulders loosening. I thought if you tried to pursue music, you'd end up disappointed. I didn't want you to get hurt, Clara. And I appreciate that, she said quickly, but I need to follow this. I need to know if I can do it. The crowd murmured around them, but it felt like they were in their own world. Clara caught sight of her friends, their hopeful expressions urging her on. You have to believe in me. Just like everyone else here does. The weight of his worry seemed to lift, just a little. I see how important this is to you. I really do. Clara held her breath, feeling the tension crackling in the air. So what does that mean? He rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture she recognized from her childhood, a sign he was uncomfortable yet trying. I guess it means I want to support you. I just need time to wrap my head around it. A wave of relief washed through Clara, blooming into something warmer in her chest. That's all I ask, Dad. Just a chance to show you what I can do. As if to punctuate the moment, another performer stepped up with an enthusiastic introduction. The crowd erupted into cheers, but Clara was focused on her father, who finally unfolded his arms, letting them hang at his sides. All right, let us see where this goes, he said with a small nod. With a renewed spirit, Clara felt the swell of what tomorrow could bring. She had opened a door. Maybe now he would walk through it too. Suddenly, someone called her name from the audience. Sarah, bursting with excitement. Clara. You've got to sing something with me. Clara laughed, her heart soaring. What do you mean? Right now? Why not? Let us make this night even more memorable. No longer worried about her father's reaction, she turned to her dad one last time. Will you stay? I want you to see this too. Of course, he said, an unexpected smile carving a path across his face. As Sarah took her hand and pulled Clara toward the front, Clara felt alive. She signaled to the barista for another mic. The lights dimmed slightly, the atmosphere thickening with promise. She turned to Sarah, excitement bubbling beneath her skin. What song would they choose? But before she could ask, Sarah began to strum a familiar tune, and Clara's heart raced in sync with the beat. This was just the beginning. There were dreams to chase, and moments to create. Together, they stepped into the light, but just as Clara began to sing, a commotion erupted at the entrance of the diner. A figure stood there, cloaked in shadows, capturing everyone's attention. Clara's eyes widened. Who could it be? What would this surprise mean for her night? The figure at the entrance slowly stepped into the warm glow of the diner's lights. Clara's breath caught in her throat. It was a man wearing a wide-brimmed hat pulled low, concealing his face. The murmurs in the crowd amplified, a mixture of curiosity and concern. Is that? Sarah whispered, her strumming faltering for a moment. Who is it? Clara's heart raced. She tried to see around the others, but the shadows made it impossible to tell. As the stranger moved closer, the soft illumination revealed more of him. Clara's breath escaped her in a rush. It wasn't just anyone, it was Jake, her childhood friend who had left town years ago. She hadn't seen him since he moved away, chasing dreams of his own in the big city. His presence stirred emotions within her like a whirlwind. "Clara," he called, his voice rich and inviting. "I'm back." The crowd parted for him, and Clara found herself frozen, her thoughts racing. What was he doing here? Did he know what this moment meant for her? "Jake!" she finally exclaimed, her voice a mix of disbelief and joy. The simple thrill of seeing him brought a flood of memories rushing back, the laughter, the music, the days spent dreaming together. "What is going on?" he asked, scanning the crowd, but his eyes landed on Clara like a lighthouse beam. "I heard you were singing again. I had to come see for myself." Emotions churned inside her. In some way, his arrival felt like a sign, a validation of the dreams she fought so hard to pursue. With a gesture, she invited him up to the stage, and without hesitation, he moved towards her, the crowd parting once more. "Come on. Let us make this a duet." Sarah chimed in, her excitement infectious. Clara's heart raced as Sarah winked at her, a silent cue to choose something special. "What do you say?" she asked Jake. "Absolutely." He grinned, his face brightening the room. "Let us do that song we used to love." The connection between them felt electric, igniting a joy that Clara hadn't expected. As they adjusted to the mics, Clara turned her focus back to her dad, who now watched with a blend of confusion and intrigue. Would this moment shift everything for him? As the first notes of the song filled the diner, Clara felt an unexpected wave of certainty wash over her. She and Jake harmonized beautifully, filling every corner of the space with a sound so rich, so captivating, that the audience swayed and hummed along. For a moment, time stood still. Clara lost herself in the music, letting it carry her beyond her worries and fears. She glanced at her dad, who sat motionless, his eyes wide. There was something new in his expression, a kind of wonder, but as the last note hung in the air, the diner erupted into applause. Clara's heart danced, but just as the joy peaked, a shadow fell across her, the door swung open with a jarring thud, and everyone turned again. Another figure stood at the entrance, this time a stern-looking woman in a sharp suit. Clara's stomach dropped. Jackie, the talent agent she had briefly met before. What was she doing here? "Clara," the woman called, her voice slicing through the applause. "We need to talk. Now." Anxiety gripped her heart. This moment, this night, felt like a precarious balancing act. So much had shifted already. What could possibly come next? Clara's gaze flicked to Jake, then to her dad. What would they think? Could this be the opportunity she always wished for, or another twist of fate waiting to throw her off course? The melody of her dreams mingled with the tension in the air, and Clara stood at the crossroads, feeling the weight of all that was unfolding. Could she embrace this moment, or would she let it slip away? Clara's heart pounded in her chest as Jackie's sharp gaze swept across the room. The applause faded, but an uneasy buzz replaced it, thick with anticipation. Clara felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Everything good was suddenly overshadowed by doubt. "Clara, we need to talk," Jackie insisted again, her tone cutting through the excitement like a knife. "What do you mean?" Clara replied, trying to steady her voice. She could feel Jake's eyes on her, full of encouragement. "Right now?" Jackie nodded, her expression unyielding. "Yes. It's important. Let us step outside." Reluctance washed over Clara. She wanted to savor her moment with Jake, to bask in the warmth of the crowd's approval. But she also felt a flicker of curiosity about what Jackie had to say. Was it about the opportunity she had always craved? Or something entirely different? She glanced back at Jake, whose smile had faded slightly. "I'll be right back," she promised, as she stepped off the stage to follow Jackie. The chilly night air hit her as she walked outside. The diner's vibrant sounds faded away, replaced by the quiet rustling of leaves and the distant chatter of passing cars. Jackie leaned against the wall, arms crossed. I heard you were performing again. I didn't realize it was in this little diner. This could actually work to our advantage. Clara's brow furrowed. What do you mean? The label's looking for fresh talent, someone who has something different, something raw. I think you can be that person. Clara felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with skepticism. But what does that mean for me? I thought you wanted me to send you a demo, not show up here. Jackie uncrossed her arms, leaning in closer. You've got something special, Clara. And I want to help you make the most of it. This performance proved you can hold an audience. But you need to consider your options carefully. The industry can be unforgiving. An unsettling feeling twisted in Clara's stomach. The dream she had held onto was suddenly materializing before her, but at what cost? What about my music? My style? I don't want to change who I am just to fit into a mold. Jackie raised an eyebrow. You won't have to if you choose the right path. But if you do want this, you'll have to work hard and push past, well, everything. Clara hesitated, her mind racing. She thought of her dad's face in the diner, the way he had looked at her with the spark of admiration she had missed for so long. And Jake, his very presence reminded her of who she really was, the dreams born from those midnight jam sessions. Meet me tomorrow, Jackie said, her voice softer now. We'll talk more. I know potential when I see it. Just then, the door swung open behind Clara. Jake stepped out, concern etched on his features. Everything okay? He asked, his eyes darting between Clara and Jackie. Clara felt a wave of warmth at the sight of him. Should she take the leap? The idea swirled in her mind, the light and shadows of uncertainty crashing together. She started but was unsure of how to voice the whirlwind inside her. It could change everything for you, Clara, Jackie urged, sensing her hesitation. But you need to decide. This might not happen again. Before she could respond, her dad appeared at the door, looking conflicted. Clara, your performance was incredible. But are you all right? Who is this? Clara turned to him, the questions racing in her mind. Did she take the plunge into the unknown, or stay in the comfort of her familiar world? The future felt as close as the edge of a cliff and as distant as the stars. I don't know, she finally said, her voice hardly above a whisper. The moment was broken by the sound of a motorcycle roaring down the street. It cut through her indecision, burning the question into her mind. What did she truly want? As she looked between her dad and Jake, Clara felt the magnitude of her choice press down on her. Would she step into a new world, or let the moment slip away? Her heart raced as she faced the crossroads of her life. Would she have the courage to take the leap, or would she let fear rewrite her story before it even began? With the sun setting behind them, Clara knew she had to choose. The next day would change everything, but how? The sun peeked through Clara's curtains the next morning, casting a soft glow over her bed. She rolled over, trying to shake the remnants of yesterday's whirlwind encounter. It felt surreal, as if she were still caught in a dream. But the faces of her dad and Jake lingered in her mind, and the decision loomed larger than ever. Clara pulled on her favorite worn jeans and a faded band tee, hoping the comfort would ground her amidst the uncertainty. She glanced in the mirror, running her fingers through her tousled hair, desperately searching for the confidence that had eluded her. The diner had always been her sanctuary, a place where she could sing her heart out without fear, where the people knew her, and yet, the very idea of stepping into the unforgiving world Jackie described made her stomach twist in knots. Clara? Her dad called from the kitchen. You ready for breakfast? She hesitated, thinking about the conversation that could change everything. Just a minute. She shouted back, her voice wavering. As she made her way downstairs, the smell of bacon filled the air, wrapping around her like a warm hug. Her dad flipped the last piece onto a plate, his face brightening when he saw her. Smells amazing, Dad, she smiled, but the heaviness settled again in her chest. Your performance last night was something else, he said, handing her a plate. I've never seen you like that. Proud doesn't even begin to describe it. What if it leads to something different? she murmured, poking at her food. What do you mean? He shifted in his seat, concern knitting his brow. Clara bit her lip, weighing her words. Jackie wants me to meet her today. She thinks I could be signed to a label. Wow. That's huge. He exclaimed, excitement filling his tone, though it faded as he noticed her frown. You've dreamed of this, Clara. What's holding you back? I don't want to lose myself in it, Dad. Her voice trembled, mixing fear with hope. She looked up at him. What if I change? What if it all becomes too much? He paused for a moment, studying her. Sweetheart, you've always been true to yourself. No one can take that away from you unless you let them. Just remember to keep your music, your soul, at the center of everything. His words hung with her, comforting and unsettling all at once. But what if keeping my music means I have to say no to this chance? Her dad placed his hand gently over hers. Sometimes, the hardest choices lead to the greatest rewards. You have to trust yourself. Clara's resolve wavered again as she chewed, the weight of the decision settling like lead in her stomach. What if she chose the safety of the known life versus the thrilling but terrifying unknown of the music industry? Should I even go? She asked quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara, you fought too long for this dream to turn back now. Go meet with Jackie. You'll never know what might happen if you don't take that first step. With a heavy heart, she nodded slowly. The moment felt crucial, a turning point in a story yet to be written. After breakfast, Clara paced her room, her fingers grazing the music sheets cluttering her desk. Each song held pieces of herself, memories, emotions, the very essence of who she was. She opened a window, letting in the crisp morning air, trying to breathe out the fears that bubbled inside her. Her phone buzzed on the bed, jolting her from her thoughts. It was a message from Jake, thinking of you. Can't wait to hear what happens today. A wave of warmth filled her as she read it again, realizing he believed in her even when she trembled. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift slightly. The clock ticked down the minutes as she got ready to leave. She chose her favorite necklace, a simple silver pendant her mother had given her before she passed. It was a small reminder of her roots, of love and comfort, of being true to herself. When Clara stepped outside, the sunlight seemed brighter, as if reflecting her mixed emotions. Her heart raced not only from anxiety but also from a flicker of excitement at the possibilities ahead. Taking that first step felt monumental, as if she were starting a journey whose outcome was unknown. Would she be brave enough to face whatever came next? In that moment, all she could do was hope. With every beat of her heart, she edged closer to her dream and further away from doubt. As she pulled away from her driveway, the wind in her hair felt liberating. The road ahead may be unclear, but Clara was ready to find out what lay at the end of it. What would Jackie say, and would Clara's dream of music unfold in ways she never expected? The drive to the meeting was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Clara's fingers drummed against the steering wheel, the rhythm a battle between nerves and eager anticipation. The neighborhood blurred past her, a patchwork of familiar streets and the warmth of home. Yet, she felt about as far away from home as she could be, pulling toward a world that sparkled with opportunity but loomed large with uncertainty. She could barely contain her thoughts. What would Jackie say? Would she love Clara's music? Or would her eyes glaze over with indifference? Clara inhaled sharply, trying to calm the whirlwind inside her head. Just be yourself, she whispered, an attempt to shoo away the doubts that clung stubbornly. The towering building where Jackie's office resided seemed to rise out of nowhere, its glass facade glinting in the afternoon sun. Clara parked and took a moment to breathe, her heart pounding loudly. She grabbed her guitar from the back seat, the familiar weight soothing her racing pulse. As she stepped inside the lobby, the air felt charged with ambition. Striking images lined the walls, famous musicians frozen in time, each capture telling a story of success and struggle. Clara's reflection in the polished walls caught her eye. She quickly adjusted her hair, her nerves bubbling over. Name? The receptionist asked, her voice ultra-smooth, perfectly practiced. Clara Thompson, she replied, the weight of her last name suddenly feeling heavy with expectation. Just then, Jackie emerged from a back hallway. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun, but it somehow looked effortlessly chic. Her clipboard was thick with ideas and sketches, and she moved with a spirit that was contagious. "Clara!" she exclaimed, her energy pulling Clara into a warmth that felt both easy and intimidating. "I'm glad you made it. We've been looking forward to meeting you." Clara could feel her cheeks flush as Jackie led her into a cozy conference room adorned with colorful album covers and a softly buzzing atmosphere filled with potential. The walls closed in around them, framed by musical notes and dreams that seemed to dance around the room. Clara set her guitar next to her, grounding herself amid the swirl of excitement. "I hope you brought your songs," Jackie said, her voice cutting through Clara's thoughts. "Your performance at the diner really caught my ear. I think you might have something special here." "Yeah, I have a couple of pieces," Clara stammered, feeling a flush of warmth flood her cheeks. Before Clara could gather her breath, Jackie waved her hand, encouraging her to start. The music flowed through Clara as she began to strum her guitar. With each note, uncertainty faded into clarity. This was her world. The haunting melody filled the room, wrapping around Jackie and Clara like an embrace. Clara poured her whole self into the song, her emotions spilling out in the lyrics as if she were laying her soul bare. It was visceral, it was real. As the last note hung in the air, an electrifying silence enveloped them. Clara held her breath, waiting to see Jackie's reaction. Finally, Jackie leaned back in her chair, eyes wide, lips curled into a smile. "Clara, that was incredible. You have a rare talent, and it feels so authentic." A rush of relief washed over Clara, but it was then that Jackie's expression shifted, an idea brewing behind her eyes. But what the CEO never expected is that a hidden talent can change everything. Clara's heart raced with excitement and trepidation. What was Jackie about to propose? "Let us talk about your future," Jackie began, and just like that, Clara felt the weight of possibility shift yet again. Would she be ready for what was coming next? Clara sat in shock, her hands trembling against the guitar. It felt surreal, hearing approval validation from someone as important as Jackie. Yet, it was mixed with a dose of fear. "What do you mean?" Clara whispered, her heart pounding. Jackie leaned forward, her gaze penetrating. "I see potential. This isn't just about talent, it's about storytelling. And your story resonates. It's relatable and raw." Clara's heart quickened. Could this be it? The break she'd been dreaming of? "But I can't change who I am. I don't want to be just another puppet in the industry," Clara confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. This felt too big. Too daunting. Jackie smiled reassuringly. "That's the beauty of it. You won't have to. You will lead your own narrative. It's about harnessing your essence, keeping that authenticity." Clara's mind swirled. Would she really get a chance to be true to herself? Could she navigate through the excitement and potential pitfalls? "You'll need to put in the work, Clara. The industry is tough, and we can mold your path together." A mix of hope and anxiety intertwined in her chest. Clara wanted to reach out and grab this chance, but a shadow of doubt lingered. What if it all falls apart? Clara asked, the vulnerability flooding her words. "What if I lose everything I've built here in Oakwood, my family, my friends?" Jackie nodded. "It's a risk, but what's waiting for you out there could be life-changing. It's about taking that leap of faith, committing to explore the potential of your talent." Clara sat quietly for a moment, her mind running through the faces of her family, friends, and the supportive townsfolk who had walked through her journey with her. She could close her eyes and hear their laughter, feel their pride encouraging her every step. But what had happened at the diner, the acceptance, the cheers gave her strength. She could feel the realization that maybe this was not just about her. "Okay, I'm in," Clara said, her voice finding its steadiness. A surge of determination rushed through her. "But I need to make it clear to my family that I'm not abandoning them. I want to bring this back home, share it with my community." Jackie's eyes sparkled. "That's the spirit. You can inspire others with your journey. Let us start by recording a demo, but keep that heart of yours close. Clara nodded, excitement bubbling within her. The fear still lingered in the backdrop, but the warmth of possibilities overshadowed it. That evening, she returned home, her heart filled with hope and plans. She gathered her family around the dinner table, the same one where they had shared countless meals. The air felt thick with the familiar warmth of home. "Can we talk?" Clara asked, meeting her parents' eyes. Her dad set down his fork, hitched his brow, and nodded. Something's happening. With every word she spoke about her meeting with Jackie, Clara felt her resolve cement itself deeper. She didn't gloss over her fears, she voiced every concern, bringing them into the light. "This is my chance. I want you to be part of it. I plan to stay true to who I am." Her parents exchanged glances, and Clara could read a mix of pride and discomfort in their expressions. "So, what exactly does this mean?" her mom asked, her concern etched in the creases of her brow. "It means getting the music out there. It means bringing our diner into the spotlight. I want to create a community through my songs. I want to keep Oakwood at my heart while reaching out to the world." Her father leaned back, arms crossed, but this time there was less tension, a flicker of contemplation. "You really believe you can do this?" "I do," she replied, her voice steady. "And I want you standing with me, not in opposition. We can uplift our community together." The silence that followed felt heavy, but it shimmered with possibilities. Slowly, her father's arms unfolded. "It won't be easy. Just remember that there are no guarantees." Clara grinned, tears prickling her eyes. "I want to try. I want to share my journey, our journey with everyone. And I would love your support. That's all we want too." "Clara," her mom said with a tender smile, looking at her husband. "To see you happy." And in that moment, Clara felt a shift, a transformation. No longer a ghost drifting through life, she was bursting with life, radiating warmth and hope. As the weeks unfolded, she poured her heart into her music, crafting a demo that captured the spirit of her small town and her dreams. Clara opened her arms wide to the possibilities, and her parents stood beside her, the diner buzzing with excitement. The hardest part of this journey turned into the biggest blessing: her family's acceptance, the connection with her community igniting her passion. Then came the day Clara would return to the diner, not just as a waitress but as the hometown star, ready to make them proud. She could feel the swell of her dreams coming to life. Clara stepped onto the makeshift stage once more, heart pounding, and smiled at the familiar faces gathered before her. It felt like coming home, a celebratory embrace wrapped in music. This was her journey with Oakwood right now, and her heart and future stretching out limitless ahead of her. In these moments, she realized fully that she had changed everything, not just for herself, but for the place she cherished and everyone who believed in her. And so as the first note rang out, Clara sang, her voice weaving through the air, a vibrant reminder that dreams take flight when nurtured by love, courage, and community. Now, let us make sure you don't miss any of this incredible journey ahead. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and get these stories to others. Comment your reactions and feelings about this amazing ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to show your support now. Don't wait not even one more second.